Okay, greetings YouTube. It's been a while, I know. Been busy down here in DC. Have not had a lot of opportunities to make a lot of videos. Plus, there actually has not been anything good out for a while, so I haven't been able to comment. But I figure there's been a bunch of stills released for the new Captain America, the First Avenger movie. And I figure I should get my first impressions on this, what I think the film is going to be about, what I think is going to happen in the movie, to give my predictions, shall we say, as my first thought. First picture here, we have Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter, who's going to be Chris Evans' character, Steve Rogers, aka Captain America, his love interest. As you can see, it looks like a British uniform. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it looks like a British uniform. And I do want to comment that she better actually be a love interest and not a female lead, shall we say? Just because we kind of know what's going to happen to Steve Rogers. At some point, he's going to get frozen in ice, probably at the end of this movie somehow, and he's going to get thawed out for the Avengers. And if he at least has a relationship with Peggy Carter here, then we get a sense of loss for his character when he's thawed out. You know, that it'll add some drama or some good character for the Avengers film. But if we also look here, she's shooting a gun and shooting at these fellows who we're assuming are Hydra agents / Nazis. And I'm going to guess this is the first action scene of the entire movie, based on Chris Evans here. First of all, you notice, look at, this is, of course, Chris Evans as Steve Rogers. This is the first release. We'll get into the uniform, the costume in a bit, but if you notice on his feet there, he has, they look weird in this shot. These are these kind of weird shoe things that actors will wear on these productions so they look barefoot, but they can run. As you see in this picture here, he's running along this car, part of the same action scene, looks like. And the fact he's barefoot, he's only wearing his short sleeve shirt there. I'm gonna guess this action scene takes place right after. If you know the mythology from the comic books, the scientist that creates the formula that turns Steve Rogers into Captain America gets killed after he tests it, because the Nazis want it. This kind of looks like they tested him, he got all big and bulky, they kill the scientist, and he's probably chasing the assassins down. I know the feet look like crap there, but I mean, with CGI and such, and we don't know from where the camera's shooting. It could be from much further away, and it just happens that the still photographer is able to get a much closer shot in this case. But that'll work. You can see him. Moving on. Yes, this is not Chris Evans in the costume, but this is our first real look at the costume. And I know the web has kind of gone nuts over this. They say it looks crap, and it does look like crap, but keep in mind, this is the stunt guy. This costume is basically a heavily padded stunt costume for the guy that's doing stunts on a motorcycle. This is probably only intended to be shot from a very far distance while this guy's doing shots. And this is a good sign. It means they're shooting action scenes with stuntmen and real motorcycles, as opposed to CGI crap. Like if you saw in G.I. Joe, they had a few very simple motorcycle stunts, which they CGI'd, and that annoyed the hell out of me. Even though I kind of like the film overall. But here we see Steve Rogers. Again, it's kind of hard to say how this uniform is going to look, or how the costume is going to look. Don't judge it though on this picture here. I kind of like what they did. There are elements of there that's a little bit more practical based, and I like that. There's some padding, but like I said, this is not the actual costume. There's a lot of padding underneath that initial shell. because this guy's driving around on a motorcycle doing stunts, as we can see here, with the shield, which is kind of cool. It looks a little different from the one that we saw in Iron Man, but it looked very broken down in Iron Man, so I guess that's alright. Not a whole lot. Looks like a very basic army bike from that time period. I'm sure there's going to be somebody posting, commenting that it's not the exact type they used, but oh well. But here's the biggie, at least for me, because we haven't really seen any of the geeky stuff yet. I mean, we've seen the costume, but we know this costume is not the real costume, shall we say. It's a stunt costume still. What we have here are Hydra agents. You can tell that because they have the evil Hydra octopus signal on their motorcycles. And here's the thing, we don't know if all the Hydra agents will look like this. These could just be the Hydra uniform get-ups for the guys riding motorcycles. So we shouldn't assume that all the Hydra people will look like this. I'm slightly disappointed that there's no swastikas on these bikes, because it's the Germans in the 1940s. I wanted more of a Nazi feel to get that kind of that Indiana Jones sense out of it, or the Wolfenstein, for anyone who's played the games. I don't know. I mean, I don't mind the classic Hydra symbol. I know people, especially Marvel fans, will complain because they're not wearing green uniforms, but it is the 1940s in Germany. They should be wearing a gray or a black just in order to fit the mood. However, what you could kind of complain about is the motorcycles look way too science fiction-y for that time period. They look like a very retro sci-fi, which I kind of like. I see what they're doing there. I see what they're doing. They're doing a retro sci-fi, what would look very futuristic for people back then, what would look extremely high-tech for the 40s. And that's what these look. They have freaking machine guns on them, which is always cool. So we kind of get the sense. Now, is this going to indicate how everything with Hydra is going to look? Is it going to have this big overall high-tech, past future high-tech feel to it? I don't know. These could be oddities. I personally would have preferred it if they were basically just wearing regular old Nazi uniforms on regular old Nazi bikes and just having Steve Rogers kind of beating them up. But hey, it could turn out alright. And hopefully this film turns out alright. I'm waiting for a trailer. I'm waiting to see more stuff first. I'm waiting to see Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull. That I really want to see what the makeup is going to be on that. I know they can do good makeup jobs. He better look nasty. That's all I can say. And Hugo Weaving, of course, has no problem acting underneath a mask. So stay tuned. When the trailer comes out, I will post my reactions to that, and hopefully then we will finally see this film sometime after that. Thanks. Signing off.